Welcome to Dead Squirrel in the Woods Productions. I am Nicholas, your host, and thank you for joining me for this week's spine-tingling episode of Paranormal Playground with Nicholas LaPointe. Prepare yourself for a journey into the dark shadows and mystical secrets of WhiteWater, Wisconsin. Some call it the Second Salem, for its long history of hauntings, ghostly apparitions, and connections to the witchcraft community, and also spiritualism. So, each week on this podcast, we explore the paranormal legends, creepy folklore, and unexplained mysteries in small towns across the Midwest. So, today, I'm going to take you on an eerie walking tour of WhiteWater, Wisconsin, one of the most notoriously haunted locations. We'll stop by the Victorian Hamilton House Bed and Breakfast, where the ghosts of a widow and her young son are said to still reside. We will visit the ruins of the old Morris Pratt Institute, the spiritualist school, where students studied communicating with the dead, and we'll delve into the local legends of axe-wielding ghosts, underground tunnels used by witches, and a book of spells that drives readers insane. So grab your sage and smudge sticks and iron horseshoes. It's time to venture into the haunted history of WhiteWater. The spirits await us, and this shadowy tale is just the beginning. So now, our first stop is the stately Hamilton House Bed and Breakfast, an old Victorian mansion situated on Main Street. Beyond its facade of peeling paint and creepy cracks, this house holds a tragic past. Guests have reported ghostly encounters with a woman in a nightgown wandering the East Garden. She is believed to be Sarah Posey, former resident and art teacher. Sarah placed personal portrait tiles of herself and her young son in the home's fireplace after her death. The missing tile of her son was found buried in the garden, where she now roams in the afterlife. And there is the tile. Another playful spirit said to inhabit the house is Sarah's son, nicknamed Little Boy Posey. He giggles, and tiny footsteps have been heard scurrying up and down the stairs. Dolls and other objects mysteriously move from their places, signaling the boy's ghostly pranks. It is believed Sarah and her son both died heartbreaking deaths, and their spirits returned seeking solace. Since the found tile was placed back in the fireplace, which that is a picture of, the resident ghosts seem to have moved on, but the Hamilton house still trades on its haunted history and notoriety as one of WhiteWater's most paranormally active buildings. Now, I want to go to the notorious Morris Pratt Institute. Morris Pratt was a prominent Whitewater resident in the late 1800s who introduced the practice of spiritualism to the townspeople. The institute was originally a school founded in 1889 that taught classes on mediumship, psychic abilities, and communicating with spirits. Students studied sorry about that, mystic arts like spirit photography, levitation, teleportation within its walls. So, a lot of different things. Whitewater was a hotbed of spiritualist activity during this era. Prominent citizens regularly held seances and summoned mediums to help them speak to the dead. Locals referred to the institute as the Spook Temple, but it attracted students from across the country seeking to develop their supernatural talents. Some of this stuff is actually used in ghost hunting, so it kind of crosses over. Intrigued by the history of the Institute, well, you can still enroll in paranormal courses today through the organization's Milwaukee location. The building is currently the land is currently owned by AT&T. They actually rebuilt. So this is a picture of the old building, and here's a picture of Morris Pratt. So I looked up the Morris Pratt Institute, and the website is still active. They still offer courses. So, you can go to morrispratt.org for more information if you want to see it for yourself or if you want to sign up. Now, I have some information on that actually. Modern Spiritualism course is 30 lessons and it's $850 or $900 if you do a monthly payment plan. So Spiritualist healing course is 15 lessons for $450 or $500 for a monthly plan. And then there's a mediumship course, which is 22 lessons for $625 or $675 for a monthly plan. So if you're looking to develop your own psychic abilities to communicate with spirits, the Morris Pratt Institute still provides the same mystic teachings today that originally made it infamous. Though the Institute shut down in the 1930s, the organization is now in Milwaukee, as I stated. Sadly, the original school building was demolished, but perhaps the ghosts of the past linger at this paranormal site. So now, jumping to more recent hauntings. The campus of the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater has a few paranormal hotspots. There's the Winchester House, the former home of the Winchester family, and it is said to be inhabited by the ghost of Lucius Winchester himself. Students have reported sightings of his specter peering out the windows. Wells Hall dormitory has been plagued by mysterious events and unexplained activity since the day it opened, and the Alpha Sigma sorority house supposedly connects to the other historic homes around town through a network of underground tunnels once used by witches. It was a covert way for the witches to get back and forth to other homes. Now, it seems even at this institution of higher learning, the supernatural is never far away. The ghosts of WhiteWater continue passing through walls, creeping down hallways, and making their paranormal presence known. So now, no tale of WhiteWater paranormal past is complete without mentioning the witches, which I did earlier, but it is known as the Second Salem. Several cemeteries from an eerie triangle around town, supposedly marking it as an area steeped in witchcraft. An axe murderer named Mary Worth appears in one cemetery on Halloween night, continuing her haunting. At nearby Starn Park, local lore tells of witches gathering under the cover of darkness to perform rituals at a stone water tower, which I also have a picture of. So that was Mary Worth, and here is the stone water tower. So, to contain whatever and the stone water tower contains whatever sinister forces dwell inside of it through an iron fence placed around it, so you can't get to it. There are also whispered legends of a mysterious book penned by WhiteWater witches, which causes insanity or death to any foolhardily anybody dumb enough actually to read it. And the ghost of a woman named Myrtle, the so-called poison widow. She is said to roam the college after murdering her husband in 1922 to be with her student lover. Clearly, the supernatural legacy of witchcraft continues to loom over this small town, imprinting it with a paranormal darkness that lingers today. Now, with the long history of hauntings, ghost stories, and supernatural folklore, it's no wonder WhiteWater has gained a reputation as a paranormal hotspot. Today I tried to highlight some of its most spine-tingling tales in notoriously haunted locations, from the Hamilton House to the ghostly teachings at the Morris Pratt Institute, to legends of witchcraft and axe murders. The small town certainly has no shortage of bizarre mysteries and spooky lore. Now, since it is November 10th, and tomorrow is Veterans Day, and November 10th is the birthday or the formation of the United States Marine Corps, and being a Marine myself, I want to add a little bonus here at the end. So we are going to honor the Marine Corps and Veterans Day quick. I want to talk to you about the birthplace of the Marine Corps in Philadelphia. We will explore the iconic landmark known as Tun Tavern. I am going to pull up the historical marker for it. And there we go. So Tun Tavern is the hallowed ground where the Marine Corps was founded, and has many connections to the Revolutionary War, the colonial times as well. So while Tun Tavern in Philadelphia is hailed as the famous birthplace of the United States Marines, sadly, the original structure no longer remains today. Tun Tavern has a very rich history, but to me, being biased, the Marines being founded there is the most important to me. But Tun Tavern once stood near the waterfront. The original location is now occupied by Interstate 95. Though Tun Tavern is long gone, the historical marker stands as a reminder of where Tun Tavern was. And so let's reflect on Tun Tavern and its history all the way up to the through the Revolutionary War, actually, and the culmination of the Marine Corps. The story of this iconic Pennsylvania tavern begins over 90 years prior to the formation of the Marine Corps. Tun Tavern was founded in 1685 by Samuel Carpenter, a local entrepreneur who opened the city's first brew house. He chose the location at the corner of Tun Alley and Water Street, just 3 years after Philadelphia itself was established. Tun Tavern became the most popular watering hole in colonial Pennsylvania after opening. It did not take very long for this to happen, with its brewhouse producing the city's best beer. Tun Tavern established itself as a go-to meeting place for local officials, city leaders, and soon American revolutionaries. Within just a few years this happened, actually. Tun Tavern gained the reputation of Philadelphia's premier tavern. Colonial Pennsylvanians and travelers alike flocked there for drinks and conversation. In addition to city officials and revolutionaries, Tun Tavern was also the meeting place of choice for prominent colonial society clubs and aid organizations in the early 18th century. Groups like St. George's Society, St. Andrew's Society, charitable groups assisting struggling colonists, they would all gather at Tun Tavern. It was also a key spot for Freemasons and other exclusive organizations. Now, as I explored further in, it was notably the Grand Lodge for the Philadelphia Freemasons, and is known as the birthplace for Freemasonry in Americas. So, other than the Marine Corps, they also were the birthplace of the Freemasons. So, the 2.3 million Freemasons worldwide celebrate Tun Tavern as well. Though it was initially just a brew house serving beer, the owner realized, we have world-class beer. We should have food to go with that beer. So, in the 1740s, Tun Tavern became the home to Mullen's Red Hot Beefsteak Club. And this was owned by, or ran by, Peggy Mullins. And by adding that hearty food options to accompany their world-class beer, this mix of drinks and cuisine made Tun Tavern even more popular than it was before. Tun Tavern in Philadelphia was one of the first meeting places for the Continental Congress in 1774, where delegates from the colonies began organizing opposition to recent British taxation and control. In the 1750s and 60s, Benjamin Franklin helped organize Pennsylvania militias to defend against French and Native American raids during the French and Indian War. So he recruited his militia at the bar. So Tun Tavern became the gathering place for revolutionaries like Ben Franklin. By the 1700s, the colonist tensions were focused on Britain as dissent grew. The tavern's role as a meeting place symbolized the growing unity among the colonies as they moved toward revolution against Britain specifically. In October 1775, a 7-person naval committee led by John Adams met at Tun Tavern in Philadelphia. The committee drafted articles of war and commissions for a new Continental Navy fleet. However, one element had not been addressed yet that was very important: Marines. Subsequently, on November 10th, 1775, the Second Continental Congress authorized the formation of the Continental Marine Corps, and Samuel Nicholas, a former Quaker and innkeeper, was appointed as the first Marine Commandant. Actually, his rank was captain. To recruit the first Marines, Nicholas went to Tun Tavern, a popular watering hole, both for sailors and potential recruits. Therefore, he and a Robert Mullen, whose mother, Peggy, ran the local beef steakhouse, successfully recruiting the first company of Continental Marines. Tun Tavern proved an ideal recruiting ground with its reputation among eligible local seafaring men. The tavern's role in the origins of both the United States Navy and Marine Corps became part of its lasting historical legacy. With the Navy, the Marine Corps is part of the Navy, so I can see that. Now, throughout the Revolutionary War, Philadelphia was a very contested city, changing hands between the British and Americans multiple times. Through all this turmoil, the tavern remained standing and operational until 1781, when it was finally burned down in the war's aftermath. The tavern was never rebuilt. Today, the historical marker is there, which I will go back to that just because. And there's that historical marker, and that is at 175 Front Street in Philadelphia, commemorating the famous role. Those interested in learning more can also visit the Newhall Military Museum in Philadelphia to see artifacts and exhibits about Tun Tavern's history. Though the original Tun Tavern is long gone, visitors can get a taste of the colonial ambience at a recreation built at the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Virginia named and there's an exhibit, Tun Tavern, and this exhibit aims to transport visitors back to colonial recruiting spot that, despite its ultimate demise, helped launch the Continental Marines during America's fight for independence. The spirit and significance of Tun Tavern lives on through these sites that celebrate its proud military history or origins. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed our little tour of the darker side of WhiteWater, and then our exploration of the of Tun Tavern. And actually, I did want to pop up one more picture, and this is kind of, if you go to the Tun Tavern Museum, or the Marine Corps Museum, there's the Tun Tavern recreation. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more journeys into the paranormal legends and mystical folk tales hidden around the Midwest. Until next week, stay skeptical, stay safe, and keep your eyes peeled for spirits wandering the night. We'll see you in 2 weeks here on Paranormal Playground, a Dead Squirrel in the Woods Productions.